Hello people, and welcome to my theory video about Lightfall. In this video I'll be going over my thoughts about the Witch Queen, the Witness, the Traveller, us as light wielders, the new raid, Vex, the new planet. I'm literally trying to stitch it all together and come up with a theory of where we're going to be going, and I hope you guys also enjoy this theory. Firstly, I'd like to mention that my Discord is available for people that would like to jump on and talk about their theories and really dive into why you think like this. And if you're a nerd like myself, come into the Discord and let's have a chat. So the first person I want to talk about is Sabathun, and as we know, she's dead. We found this out as we played the campaign, but there's the 4 missions that you do, the Altar of Reflection, and in there she plays a game at the end where she tells us 2 lies and 2 truths. I've got the recordings here, so I'm going to go over each one and basically say what I think is a truth and what I think is a lie, as I think this is quite relevant, as some of the stuff that she said hasn't actually happened yet, but from basically the information that we found out via the interactive trailer and all the stuff that Bungie's released, you can make educated guesses on what is true and what is false. So let's play the first video.
2 truths. Osiris is dead. Sabathun is dead. The Witness birthed the darkness. In the end, your destiny lies beyond this system.
So this is the first mission, which is called Pact. And the first one is, she states that Osiris is dead. We know this is a lie, as we can see him in the trailer. The next one is, she states that Sabathun is dead. Well, obviously this is true because we kill her. The Witness birthed the darkness. This is a lie. Just watch this video and I'll explain why.
Originally, we thought we were fighting the darkness, but it turns out that there was an entity that was wielding the darkness, and that is the Witness.
Disciple, you know what must be done.
So this video basically says that he's a wielder and basically he didn't birth it. So on to the 4th one. In the end, your destiny lies beyond the system. So this is obviously going to be true, as after the Light Saga's finished, we're obviously going to either go to the Hive homeworld or we're going to go to the Cabal's place. So the next mission is called Choice, and I'll play the video to you now.
The Traveler will leave. The Traveler will fall. The Traveler is not the only one of its kind. The Hive are not the last to be chosen by the light.
The Traveller will leave. Well, this is a lie, because we can see in multiple trailers that the Traveller has essentially stayed and stood his ground this time. The Traveller will fall. Well, I believe this to be true. There's multiple reasons to believe this. One is mentioned in the Vox Obscura, which we'll go over later. And then the second one is basically what will happen at the end of the Light and Darkness saga, as the Traveller and the Witness won't be there. Traveller is not the only one of its kind. This one's quite hard. The Traveller is a conduit of the light, and it's not the source of the light. Details I talk about the veil and what I suspect what that is. The Hive are not the last to be chosen by the light. I suspect this is true, as it mentions the light and not the Traveller. Within the galaxy, we have plenty of worthy warriors that could become one with the light, as I suspect that Rasputin is going to be coming back as a guardian. That's another kettle of fish that we can open up another day. So the next mission is called Catalyst, and we're going to have a look at the next set of truth and lies that she says.
The Pyramid Blade is one key to defeating the Witness. The Witness seeks the final shape, and the final shape is nothing. The last city is not the last city. The Witness will build its army on Mars.
The Pyramid Blade is one key to defeating the Witness. Other than crafting the glaive, I can't really see this being of any real importance, other than I think it's similar to Rolk, but that's pretty much it. I can't see us going up to the Witness and bitch slapping him. I think this is a lie. The Witness seeks the final shape, and the final shape is nothing. I would say this is true for a few reasons, be it the final DLC is called The Final Shape, and the witness says at the end all he wants is no more death and no more life. The universe will eventually become nothing, but life will fight on. The last city is not the last city. Well, I suspect this is true. Well, actually, I don't suspect, I know, because of all the information that we know already. The witness will build its army on Mars. This is a lie, because we already know that Callus has an army, and I also suspect the Veil will also be the key to building another set of armies for him. I'll dive into this deeper as when we talk about the Veil and what I think this is. And then the final mission of the Ultra of Reflection is called Insight.
Mercury, Io, and Titan are in my care. The witness returned Mars to your solar system. The power to move worlds will soon be yours. The Taken King will rise again. You Guardians are so clever. Tell me, what is true and what is false?
So Mercury, Io and Titan are in my care. This is highly doubtful. We already know that all these planets are pretty much in the content vault, so this is a blatant lie. The witness returned Mars to your solar system. I think this one's quite tricky, but I think it to be true, as we did get Mars back via the Witch Queen, and I think Sabathun eventually tricked the witness into releasing Mars for us, so I'm going to say this is true. And finally, the Taken King will rise again. Again, I think this is quite a tricky one. As we know, there's the King's Full Raid. I highly doubt that the Taken King's gonna come back. I don't see Oryx coming back as a guardian, as this seems to imply, so no, I think this is a lie. So I could be wrong on some of these, but I suspect that I'm right on most of them, which led me down the rabbit hole after the season of the Seraph, where we find the message that Rasputin leaves, which basically says that his memory's been wiped, and my finger instantly pointed towards Sabathun, and I suspect it was when she had taken over Osiris, but then in turn Osiris obviously found out information about Neptune, which is being displayed via the interactive trailer. Then you ask, like, why would she delete this? And then that leads me to, she hid the veil on Neptune and then hid it from the witness and then deleted all traces so that no one could find it. So before we talk about the veil, I'd like to go over the Vox Obscura messages, as they are quite important to why I come to my theory, and I think that once you listen to them carefully, and after all the information that we found out now, they kind of make sense now. So I'm going to play the first one for you, so sit back and listen.
These broadcasts are not comprised of words, but images, feelings, and impressions. My optices will show me their contents through a telepathic link, similar to the Mindscape. I see the silhouette of a scion. They stand at the head of a full Cabal legion. Above them hovers a black pyramid, and behind them stands a towering statue of gold. A statue of my father, Callus. His arms outstretched, hand open, beckoning. I can hear his voice. It calls to me, promising refuge, promising salvation.
So given all the information that we know now, with all the release trailers and the Vidocs and stuff, we know that Callus has a big ship, there's a tower, and he does have an army, so this message turned out to be true. Not to mention he looks swag in his golden arms and his golden foot and his diamonds and his bucket on his head. God, he's a beautiful creature, isn't he? So the second message the Vox did, I couldn't really pull anything from it, so I'm not going to play this one. So I'm going to move on to the last one, which I think is really relevant for why I've come to my theory and why I've told you about the truth and lies, because everything we've been told so far through this Vox message has turned out to be true. So have a listen and you conclude.
This latest transmission from Euryx shows the same images over and over, flashing almost too quickly to perceive. They are indistinct as if multiple pictures were laid atop one another. Variations on a theme. Ah, these must be psionic divinations. Impressions of things yet to come. I never dreamed I would see them for myself. I see a city besieged. The ship stealer revived. The Leviathan reborn. Your traveler, infected by darkness. These are the futures our enemies seek. We must remain united if we are to forge a different path.
So a city besieged. We see this going to happen through the last Lightfall trailer. Actually, through the last two Lightfall trailers, we can see that the Black Pyramid fleet is here and it's wreaking havoc upon us. The second one with the shipwrecker is revived, which is basically Aramis. She's cutting around and Typhon, as we've been doing nightmares on there, but it could also be referenced to Callus. But either way, we know this to be true. And then we've got the darkness will infect the traveller, and only if you combine that with the truth and the lies of Sabathun, we know this will be true. As you can see that the witness is basically going towards the traveller, and I suspect that the witness will win because obviously he's wielding the darkness. So we take what we know from the witness, we take what we know from Sabathun, and we take what we know from the Vox Obscura messages. We can make some educated guesses that the traveller's going to get killed. I suspect that the last city is going to get absolutely slapped, and then if you combine that with the Season of the Defiance where we have to go and rescue prisoners, I think the last city will be the city on Neptune. So now we need to talk about the Veil and what I suspect the Veil is. First, I'd like to point out that the Veil was first mentioned back when Bungie was going over its races. As you can see in the picture above, that you mentioned as the 5th race, but I don't think we've seen them, and I think there's a possibility that we could see them as tormentors. I'll go into my explanation as to why later on. Next, I'd like to go over the actual literal meaning of veil and why I think it's important. So the key one for me is on 1B, a length of veil or a netting worn over the head or shoulders, or attached for protection, or an ornament to a head or headdress. So why do I think this is important? But later on we'll have a look at these statues and they seem to be wearing a veil. But there's also something else that I'd like to point out about the meaning of the veil. The verb to cover, provide, obscure and conceal. And what do we know about this when we have a look at the planet Neptune? So this is a statement from one of the interactive trailers that basically says Neptune is hidden under some sort of powerful veil. Well, that's what it says to me, and that the Cloud Striders are basically protecting it. So to me, the Cloud Striders are basically what we are to the Traveller, its protectors. This also leads to my second theory that Sabathun hidden the veil here, as alluded by message that Rasputin left at the end of the season of Seraph. And I also believe that she was the one who deleted that message when she had taken over Osiris. Which now leads us to the message that Rasputin left, and he left some key facts: that it was an object, and it was paracausal, and it was linked to the Traveller. Being that it's an object, we know that it isn't something or someone, and we know that it isn't an army. We believe that it's a veil of some sort. We know that it's paracausal, and within the Destiny universe there's a few things that are paracausal. So we know that the Traveller is, we know that the light is, we know the darkness is, we know that us as Guardians are, and we know that the Star Horse is. So we know that it's linked to the Traveller, and it has an immense power, and that the Witness really wants this. So if we look through the Destiny lore, we can see items already in the Destiny universe that matches these descriptions of what a veil could be. I'm going to show you a few pictures now of the 3 veils that's already in. So the first one's on the moon, which is in the pyramid. Next one is in Deepstone Crypt, and the final one is on Gardens of Salvation. So to me, the veils are acting as conduits to darkness, similar to how the Traveller is a conduit of the light, and it isn't the source of the light. So if we look at the 3 statues that we know of, we've got the one on the moon, which essentially gave Iris Moore her power. We have the other one, which is on Gardens of Salvation, that the Vex are using to harness the darkness. And finally, we've got the one on Deepstone Crypt, where Bray also leaves a very important message that, given the information that we know now, really changes how this message is portrayed.
It was an entity from beyond our own dimension, and the answer to humanity's eternal struggle, mortality. Were it to fall into the wrong hands, humanity and the universe would be
So after listening to this message and with all the information that we suspect that the entity is the source of darkness and it is the source of the light. This is the reason why the witness wants it, as he wants to use it to craft his army, the army of tormentors that are in a different dimension. Wants to use this entity to summon this army. As we look at the tormentors and we can see that they wield a scythe, and we can have a look at the Leviathan. There's a quote, a text here that basically backs up the idea that the veil is the source of the light and the dark.
It is time. Light and dark align, turning into a burning recollection of terror. Seize that power and become a reaper of nightmares.
So we know the veil is the power of light and dark. We know that the tormentors are going to be using the light and dark, and then we need to talk about the Vex and how they are linked to all of this. So recently Bungie released an information about the new raid. A ferried from an unknown time and place, a haunted presence has been detected. We must now confront the ancient threat at our doorstep. So the first one I want to talk about is the word ferried. To me, this means I've been transported to another dimension, be it through Greek mythology, where you'd give a ferryman 2 coins to be transferred over to Hades. The Vex themselves can be quite mythological, the names of like the Minotaurs and the Wyverns, so I suspect that this is also pointed, as we've also done the Confluxes that have some mythological names, Tartarus and stuff like that. So I think the raid's going to be about the Vex, us basically going back in time. As we know, this is possible through the raid of Vogue, where we go through Mercury and Venus, and we basically know that the Vex can manipulate time and dimensions. And I suspect it will also be resurrecting Nezarec back to his loyal state, so the witness can obviously use him. And then there's like a wild card I like to throw in, as we know that Sabathun's ghost is cutting around. I have a theory that the ghost is going to be there, and maybe the final trick from Sabathun as well. Also like to mention that there's a massive Vex gate on the moon, which correlates with basically where Nezarec is, or basically where his pyramid is. So it also backs up the idea of resurrecting Nezarec. So to conclude, lies and the truths that Sabathun has told basically come to fruition. Then if we correlate that with the Vox Obscura messages and how they basically tell us that the city will be besieged, which is going to happen, as we can see in the trailer, that the Leviathan has been reborn, which we can see by Callus, and we can also see the Nightmare ship. The shipwrecker will be alive. We know this as Aramis has been cutting around and working under the witnesses' gaze. And then finally, the Traveller will be engulfed by darkness. And if you correlate that with the stuff that the Witch Queen has been saying, I suspect the Traveller's going to be dropped. Then I also like to point out that I think we're going to be losing the last city. And then if you have a look at like the seasonal content, you'll be able to see that basically that's based around us trying to rescue prisoners and to basically be defined under siege or under occupation. So to me, I think that we've lost Earth and basically now a rebel force trying to basically take it back and have a home. So yeah, basically that's my thought on my theory of Lightfall and basically what I know and trying to piece things together. So I suspect that it's going to be an absolute nutty DLC that I've missed, or anything you actually want to come down and discuss. Jump onto Discord and let's have a chat. It really does make the game more exciting when you have like conspiracy theories. And this is basically mine, and I've got a couple of mates I chat to, and why don't you join that group, chat together? And again, if you found value or you enjoyed the video, why don't you like drop a like and subscribe, as it would show to me that you actually like this content, as this is like my first ever real breakdown of like lore and content, basically trying to splice it all together into some sort of a video for everyone to watch. So yeah, thank you for like watching, and again, like and subscribe, and maybe even drop a comment below, maybe telling me about what you think was going to happen, if I've missed something. Yeah, again, thank you, and I'll catch you on the flip side.